Why on earth would we give private schools our taxpayer dollars when they don't have the mandate, the commitment, the responsibility, and accountability to educate all of our students just like our public schools do? This bill is Robin Hood in reverse. The governor's bill will take from the 93% of Iowa kids who attend public schools in every corner of our state so she can give more money to the 7% of mostly urban kids who will benefit the most. Our money is for our kids, not her radical agenda.
Iowa Republicans just sent a major handout to private schools in the dead of night. After a 5-hour evening debate, Iowa House Republicans passed legislation that sends $340 million taxpayer dollars annually to pay private school tuition. The plan, spearheaded by Republican Governor Kim Reynolds, got slammed on the Senate floor by Democrat Zach Walz.
There's nothing wrong with private education. I've attended mostly public schools in my life, but I've attended a private school. There is nothing wrong with the private education, but the idea that we would take away resources from public education that are currently being used to improve how we educate our students is as out of touch as taxpayer dollars being used to pave a gated community's private driveway or to build a country club that's private that we can't all visit. Public education is who we are. And Republicans used to agree with Democrats about this. Terry Branstad ran for governor with the slogan, Iowa, a state of minds. There was a time not so long ago when virtually every other state in the union wanted their education system to be like Iowa's. Today, however, Iowa Republicans want Iowa to be more like other states instead of other states being more like Iowa. What on earth is going on? The governor's proposal will result in less of that community, not more of it. That is why we need more resources for our public schools, not less. Everyday Iowans strongly oppose this governor advancing a rushed, reckless, and radical private school agenda by taking away our taxpayer dollars from our students being educated in our public schools to fund her private schools. Where's the voice of rural education leaders in all of this discussion? I certainly have not heard from a single rural superintendent who thinks that this legislation will benefit their students. Why is that? The answer is simple geography. I have a map that shows where private schools are located in Iowa. I'm happy to share it with anybody who wants to see it. I'm an Eagle Scout. I like maps. I've got a lot of them. The bottom line is that most rural districts in Iowa do not have a private school option that is within easily accessible driving distance. Almost 75% of Iowa's public schools are in rural or small town areas with little to no access to private schools. That is why most of Iowa's rural and small town communities will be hurt by a voucher program, especially since this bill specifically excludes transportation as a reimbursable cost for a voucher. Here's what that means. Think of your public school in a small town or rural community. Most of the kids going to that school come from a working class or middle class family. Even with the voucher, they don't have the time or the money to drive to Cedar Rapids or Iowa City or Des Moines to take their kids to a private school because they have to go to work. They have to start their shift. The handful of families who can afford to make that drive are the ones who will benefit, but it only takes a handful of students leaving a small town or rural school that is already treading water to send that building or that school district into a death spiral, accelerating consolidation and shuttering a public school forever. In Iowa communities, large and small, parents and educators are working together to build stronger public schools and create opportunities for our students, for our children. They are working to fill the gaps that come from years of inadequate funding from Iowa Republicans for our public schools. Imagine what we could do if we fully funded their work instead of diverting more money away to exclusive and unaccountable private schools. The education reform that Iowa really needs must start with investing in our public schools, the schools that the vast majority of Iowa children go to and upon which the vast majority of our communities depend. Mr. President, I urge my colleagues to reject House File 68, this rushed, reckless, and radical scam has no place in Iowa.